Hey everyone, welcome back. So En Foco's South Bronx Art Tour is opening a new photography exhibition from award-winning photographers, and it's free and open to the public. We love that word, free. And so En Foco and Warworks NY present Night Vision, a solo exhibit featuring a selection of black and white street images by Bronx-born and raised Puerto Rican award-winning photographer Marisol Díaz-Gordon. And Marisol is also the curator of Reveal, an exhibition that explores the art of this year's 10 En Foco Fellows who demonstrate the highest quality of work. And she's going to tell us more, but let's welcome award-winning photographer and curator of Reveal at En Foco, Marisol Díaz-Gordon. Hello, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
What I didn't share with our viewers is, well, Marisol and I, we kind of sort of belong to the same tribe. We've been at this arts advocacy and arts contribution for, I want to say, how many years?
Oh, we know each other for like 20 years.
Lower number.
I know. I know. Time goes by quickly. And, somehow this art community from 20 years ago, somehow we've managed to stay in touch with each other.
It's beautiful though. It's beautiful that we've been able to like dance into each other's spaces periodically throughout all these years, and also not only honing in our own craft, but contributing to the next generation, right? But before we even start speaking about the next generation, because I know how you do that, we're going to talk about night vision first, okay? Let's talk about this solo exhibition that is all you, Mama. Congratulations.
Thank you. I want to thank Bill and En Foco for that. It was a surprise on me that they tapped my shoulder for this. And that body of work actually was one of the bodies of works that won Brio in 2009. And yeah, wow. So it's coming back in a very different way because it's about 3 feet high and 20 something feet long, and it's going to be on fire escapes. So they're triptychs, and I can't take the credit for the triptychs. Back in 2008, I spoke to Juan Sanchez and I showed him my work and my portfolio of this series, Lower East Side, that I had exhibited at Clemente Soto Velez. So it's all intertwined, right? And he said, have you considered doing diptychs and triptychs? So that's how these triptychs were born. So these images began to speak to each other in a very organic language. I have nothing to do with it. I just put them together. They tell me where to go, and there it lands. So that's going to be at the exhibition June 11th.
All right, so let's just define triptychs to our audience so that they understand what they're going to experience, aside from the imagery themselves.
Sure. So triptychs are 3 images that may or may not have anything to do with each other, and then they're placed together. They can be touching each other, or they can have just a little bit break in between, but 3 images come together to become one unit.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? And then they're all in black and white. And I know you have you've made a statement about shooting black and white versus color. Is black and white your preference?
I considered myself a black and white documentary photographer, fine art photographer for many years. I fought color, one, because color seemed to be the norm. It's our norm, right? Most of us see in color, and black and white was kind of like this place where you can get rid of distractions. You just can kind of pull them aside and go in and just see these shades. I have made amends with my color photography, but I still have a love and a passion for black and white.
Well, how beautiful is that they're reviving your work from that one Brio in 2009. Here we are in 2022, and for lack of a better word, there's some relevance to it with the times that we're living in, and I'm really referring to the mood of it, right? And how New York almost felt like isolated, like it was just like a really dark, dim place, and I'm really referencing it, metaphorically. And that kind of, your images kind of represent that, even though I know they weren't shot during the pandemic, but they have that feeling.
Yeah, so I went around Lower Manhattan to shoot these images, and then I found myself in Chinatown, and I found some beautiful streets, and the way the highlights would hit the bricks on the ground, the cobblestones, which is so fascinating to me. And I think also the loneliness that you see of the isolation is also part of the isolation that a photographer has, a freelancer has, walking around the streets, capturing events and news. So this was my time to just be quiet, be calm and still, and just start walking around and documenting and seeing beauties in the darkness with the highlights.
Well, congratulations on that solo exhibition, but we're going to talk a little bit, excuse me, about you and your relationship to En Foco, because you've been involved with En Foco for a while, and I definitely, want to tap into this new cohort of photographer fellows who are going to be exhibited as well and curated by you, no less. So let's just talk about how you are in and out of En Foco, and how, in essence, you never really left. But I know that you wear a lot of hats. I did mention that you're an adjunct lecturer as well, and you also paint. So you're an artist, but photography seems to be like your mission, your purpose, and passing it on to the next generation. So let's talk about this new exhibition, Reveal.
So I've been connected to En Foco since the late 90s. I started out as an intern, and that I would blame Professor Bruce Habiger at City College, who said, once you leave here, you're going to need some support. And this is an organization that was started by Puerto Rican photographers, and it branched out to all peoples of color. I think you should check them out. And I did an internship there, and then they kept me around as a program assistant, and eventually I was program director. So for 11 years, I helped to support artists of color in general in different kinds of activities, workshops, which is career development, exhibitions, all sorts of things that we can figure out that they needed support with. And we listened to the artists, right? But exhibiting their work was very important because they have a voice. And you're not an artist with a voice unless you show your work. You just can't shoot and have it hiding somewhere. Your voice needs to be heard. And this is what photographers do with their photographs. A lot of people don't grasp that idea that when you're looking at someone's work, you're looking at their soul. Right. It's part of their soul. You might see other people in there, but it is their soul that's attached to it.
Yeah, that's really deep, and I get it. I get what you're saying, right? Because it's their perspective, their point of view, their mood in that moment, because that shifts the dynamics as well, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So before we run out of time, let's talk about the 10 En Foco fellows that are going to be on display.
Oh, they're so different. They have so many different topics, but at the same time, it's all the same thing, right? In my curatorial statement, I talk about the isms, right? The sexism, this,
the
that.
ageism.
I mean, it's so profound. Racism, and the idea of a person being able to be a person without the powers that be coming in and trying to change that individual, community, or country. Each of these artists touch upon that. They touch about the isms, they touch about the longing to be with family, but being separated, immigration, and the idea that no one really leaves their beloved country because they want to. It's because somehow they're forced to, they need to create a better life. Transgender topics come up, ageism comes up. It's so many varieties of things. And my hope is that when people come see the show, that they leave with a thought about the work. Doesn't have to change them, but can be a little food for thought to have an internal conversation later on, and maybe challenge those ideas that they had before they came in to see the show, because that's what the artists do. They challenge ideas and they make people think about the status quo.
Yeah, no, it's true. And thank you for sharing that with our viewers, because I think it's important for us to not only support each other's work, it's important for us to expand on what we're used to experiencing, right? And so perhaps if you're just a person who likes to go to exhibits that are for fine art and or sculptures, perhaps explore photography as its own form of art, even though it is, but people have their preferences, right? However, right now we're living in a day and age where the name of the game is to experience diversity on every level, not just in gender, not just in race, not in everything that we do, especially living here in New York.
Exactly. And if not now, then when, right?
Right.
Like when are we going to improve as human beings? When are we going to push the envelope of acceptance for all people, regardless of everything and anything, regardless of how you look, how you sound, what language you speak, where you came from? And this touches upon that. I mean, art is essential for so many reasons, but art can really improve your soul, not just you as a human being, not physically, not visually, but as a soul.
Yeah, not only that, it's like visiting a time capsule. I mean, I've always considered photojournalists, even photographers as a whole, are historians, because it's definitely like time just snapped and
Yeah.
encapsulated. So thank you for your lifelong dedication to this art form, and not only for yourself, but for the next generation. And thanks for bringing it here. I know we didn't get to mention all the En Foco fellows, but really quickly, the photographers that are this year's En Foco fellows are Javier Alvarez, Daniel Arroz Aguilar, Dennis Redmoon, Darkeem, Carlos L. Esquerra, Paola Martinez Fitere, Diana Guerra, Carmen Lizado, Jahi Sabater, Cynthia Santos Briones, and Naisha Sylvester, and of course, the solo exhibition by yours truly, Marisol Díaz-Gordon.
Thank you. Thank you. They're also featured in Nueva Luz Photographic Journal that will be available in June.
Oh, right, the magazine as well. So, and that's going to be available in hard copy at the exhibition. So,
Yes.
guys, right, don't miss it, because Night Vision and Reveal, both exhibitions, are going to debut June 11th at 3 p.m. at the Bronx Create Club, which is located at 15 Canal Place in the Bronx. And if you're interested in more information, you can visit enfoco.org. All right, we got to take a quick break, but when we return, we're going to hear about the Bronx Pride Week LGBTQ+ film screening you don't want to miss.